Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to viewers on Sky Sports Friday Fight Night Live, who join us live at Altrincham Leisure Centre. You join us for tonight's main event. Would you please welcome into the ring for our main event the challenger for the title, Ismail Abdoul.
Yep, it's a sweltering night here in Altrincham. Here's the game, strong, tough and durable Ismail Abdoul, who returns to our shores 2 years on from extending Enzo Macronelli, the big punching Welshman, the distance. He's experienced, he's mixed in decent class, and at 29, the second opportunity of a European title. I guess, Jim, they don't come much harder to discourage, and that makes him a problem.
Yeah, that is a fact, but I mean, he's not just a survivor. We have to give him some credit. He's a decent crazeman, he's learned the job, he's never had the red carpet laid out for him, he hasn't had it made easy. He's not here just to see if he can manage to go the 12 rounds again. He's here to try to take David Haye's title away from him. I don't think he's good enough to do it, but I hope he's good enough to take Haye some rounds, and I hope he's good enough to keep it competitive. Here's the man.
Yep, Abdoul, have gloves will travel. David Haye, British, and very, very talented. Looking for a good show tonight.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from London, the current European Cruiserweight Champion, David Haymaker Haye.
The charismatic, engaging, skillful puncher from South London. Word is out. People are taking interest in David D. Haye. Unquestionably one of our greatest hopes for the foreseeable future at least. And at 25, already the European Cruiserweight champion. He's talking of world titles already. A move maybe to mix with the bigger heavyweight boys, but it's business here. Got to take care of that, Jim. But it wants to be exciting too.
Yeah, well that's it. I mean, you won't ever change that. We're just hoping tonight it goes a few rounds. I mean, we've had several fighters in the past who are talented, who are powerful. But I think David Haye also has star quality. I think he could be massive. Winning tonight, picking up a world title, I think the man could be massive. Moving on to the heavyweight division, I mean, the possibilities are endless if he takes care of business properly tonight and in the next couple of years.
Let's have a look at how they line up. Abdoul been around a lot longer, 4 years old. He's giving away the height and reach. And he's been a light heavyweight before this at the Cruiserweight 14-4 limit, which Haye struggles to make. So weight could be a factor. Abdoul around for a decade. David Haye since 2002 is much, much less experienced. But have a look at the knockout percentage at the end. 16 wins out of 17 fights, David Haye. All the wins by knockout.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the officials appointed for this contest by the European Boxing Union in association with the British Boxing Board of Control, the official in charge from the Boxing Board of Control, Mr. Simon Block, the timekeeper, Mr. Gary Grennan, and the supervisor from the European Boxing Union, Mr. Peter Stuckey from Switzerland. Judges scoring the contest at ringside on the 10-must system, Mr. Alexander Kalinkin from Russia, Mr. Manuel Palomo of Spain, and Mr. Pierluigi Poppi from Italy. And the third man in the ring this evening, our referee in charge of the action from France, Mr. Robin Dolpierre. Frank Maloney for Maloney's Fight Factory in association with Haymaker and VIP Promotions proudly present tonight's Top of the Bill, sponsored by Red Square BBE Sporting Equipment, Stan James, the bookmakers, and Trad Index, who proudly present a contest of 12 3-minute rounds to decide the Cruiserweight Championship of Europe. Between and introducing the boxers, and firstly, fighting out of the red corner, the challenger who comes from Ghent in Belgium. He weighed in at 14 stone 2.5 pounds and comes with a 37-fight professional record, 27 wins, 10 wins by way of knockout with 9 losses and 1 draw. He comes to the ring tonight as the European Union Cruiserweight Champion. Please welcome from Belgium, Ismail Abdoul. And across the ring in the blue corner, wearing the black trunks trimmed with white, he fights out of Bermondsey in London and weighed in at 14 stone 3.5 pounds, holds a 17-fight professional record, 16 wins, 16 by way of knockout with just 1 loss. Comes to the ring as the current reigning and defending European Cruiserweight Champion, making the second defence of his title tonight, presenting London's very own David Haymaker Haye. The referee, Mr. Robin Daupierre, will now give his final instructions to both boxers.
Thank you, good thank you. Okay?
Short and sweet.
12 3-minute rounds for the Cruiserweight Championship of Europe.
18th appearance for the hard-hitting and quality-operated David Haye. All 16 wins inside the distance. Sole defeat when he was stopped by Carl Thompson. There's power, a touch of vulnerability, makes him attractive. Defending his European belt against the Belgium hardman Ismail Abdoul, who takes time, preparing to come out, and he'll be looking to extend Haye into the trenches, I guess, Jim.
Yeah, I think what he'll be trying to do, he'll probably stand in front of Haye, encourage him to throw punches which you want to block and counter. You want to make him work, because one of the questions we have to ask of Haye is what will he be like in the second half of a strenuous 12-rounder. But Abdoul, he deserves full respect. He's a decent performer, more than decent at European level.
Haye won this European crown last December in just 45 seconds of the opening session against the Ukrainian Alexander Gurov, flattened in Bracknell. He really can hit, but he will know all about Abdoul's chin. I guess he's got to look for speed early.
Yeah, I think he wants to be cagey too. I mean, he wants to try to draw leads. He outreaches Abdoul, so he wants to feint, try to draw some leads. But he's dealing with a real good pro tonight. Not a massive puncher, thankfully, so if the time comes where he has to take some chances, he'll be able to do that. But let's talk about that as a last resort. The main thing, of course, is victory tonight.
Abdoul has won 5 of his last 6, so the 29-year-old from Ghent in Belgium is in good form and will want to grasp this opportunity. Does he have the talent to deal with Haye?
Just both trying to find the range in the opening round here. No one prepared to commit themselves too much, which is understandable, but that's a quick-looking jab Abdoul's throwing.
There's Haye's reach, all 80 inches of it. Believes he will grow into the heavyweight division, but for now campaigning at 14-4.
Well, not really a quality punch landed so far into the first round, so I don't think it would be fair to give either man this round. It's just been a scouting mission.
Yep, very circumspect, the pair of them, having a good look. No risks taken yet from David Haye, who does like to have a gamble to land his own weapons.
Yeah, very, very cagey opening round.
Quiet first session. Bermondsey Hope, David Haye. 116 of 17, electing to stand in between the rounds here. And, well, absolutely nothing happened in the first.
No, well, the message was that he paid Abdoul total respect in the opening round, so I think he realises that it could be a fairly tough job he has on his hands tonight. And he's going about it properly with good concentration, but nothing much happened in the opening round.
Here's the second of the second defence of David Haye's European Cruiserweight title. The 25-year-old in the black trunks and the red of Ismail Cool Abdoul, who's won 27 of 37. He's been around a long time, fought in several countries, and gave Enzo Macronelli a tough, hard workout in Newport a couple of years ago. So Haye knows what he's got in front of him.
Not an awful lot of purpose in the jab that he's throwing. That one was a bit better, but it's just a flick at the moment. He's going to have to step in. That was a nice looking hook from Haye. He's going to have to step in with the punches. Abdoul is good at judging range. He's just out of range. Just gives him that split second to block the shots.
The Belgium team were telling us beforehand they want Abdoul to block and get through the first 5 rounds and then try and take over when Haye's suspect stamina may be an issue.
But it won't be an issue at this pace. I mean, Abdoul should really be making Haye work harder. Then we would probably see the best of David Haye. Having said that, Haye is showing a bit of respect himself.
A sole defeat for Haye was when he was on top against Carl Thompson, but just came apart and was teetering when halted. Also had a dodgy 2 or 3 rounds last time out against the decent Dane, Lasse Johansson. Eventually caught up with him in 8 rounds. Furthest Haye's been. So there's that question mark hanging over him if Abdoul can exploit.
But we know David Haye can blast people out in 1 and 2 rounds. We've seen that often enough, so we need to see another side of him to judge him. How's he going to be at world level? Well, we're seeing another side tonight. He's been cagey. He's picking his punches. He's thinking that the other guy also is going to be doing something. Eventually this will catch fire. It hasn't happened yet. But David Haye has to show that he can think his way around a fight as well as blast his way around it.
That's it to make the step up amongst the elite. He will need more rounds. This is only the 45th in his 3.5-year career. Oh, a little bit of nastiness at the bow.
From Sky Sports, another magnificent double for boxing fans this weekend. The early hours of Sunday, and from Atlantic City, Carlos Baldomir puts his WBC World Welter title on the line. Arturo Gatti in the spotlight once more. It's live from 2 a.m. on Sky Sports 1. Replays at 9 in the morning, and again lunchtime, 12:30 on 2.
Yep, can't wait for that. This has got off to a tepid start, though. European Cruiserweight title fight. Second chance for Ismail Abdoul in his 38th outing. Can he do better against David Haye than he did against Enzo Macronelli when he was last on our shores? It's a quiet one from Haye, isn't it? Unusual.
Yeah, it is, but he's facing a man who he's realised this fellow's fairly cute. I mean, it's a quick jab. Abdoul has 2. He's trying to draw Haye into making some mistakes. He realises that. I think he realises This is maybe as good as an opponent he's faced in his career, and he's paying full respect. But I don't think these single jabs are what's required. I think he's going to have to double up, maybe 1-2 finish on the left hook.
Abdoul coming off a couple of useful wins over Don Diego Poda, one for the European Union title. So as he tries to get his left hooks going, that vein of form better on the record. He's had an up and down career, hasn't he?
Yep, but he's learned his job along the way. He's still quite happy to be nudged back. He's not been pressurised, obviously, but he's been nudged back onto the back foot. I think his corner are quite happy that he's not exerting silly energy in the early stages. I think they're expecting this fight to go a long way. But I think he's going to have to make his presence felt a little bit more. He's going to have to put punches together, make it obvious that he's winning these rounds.
Trying to target the body, Haye, with the sharp, speedy reflexes that he possesses that made him such a precocious amateur. So many high hopes for him as a professional. Still just 25, plenty of time, especially to mature into becoming a heavyweight, if that's where it goes.
Now we're hearing some noises from the crowd that maybe they would like to see this catch fire a little bit more. Still cagey. He may be just nicking these rounds, stealing them almost, but hasn't really committed himself to the job as yet. Yep, all signs are that he's expecting, and his corner are expecting, a long night tonight.
Unfortunately, it's probably been the dullest first 3 rounds of a David Haye fight. Let's hope it gets better.
For a left hook to the back. It's still clever enough.
It's all inside. It's all inside you. You're going to pick it up and put more and more movements and punch them later on in the fight because he's going to give you opens. But he's not giving them yet. All he's trying to do is more make you. He's trying to be a leech. He's trying to let you make mistakes. Come to you.
Interesting little chat there in the corner between David Haye's friend and trainer Adam Booth. He also works with a chap called Jorge Rubio, a Cuban over in Miami, where he's based for much of the build-up. On South Beach he runs and comes back about 10 days before the fight and ticks over down in Piccadilly in London, and Adam Booth leads him into battle.
I mean, I wouldn't expect Haye to fight 3 minutes of every round, but I think he should just open up now and again, let 2, 3, 4 punches go. Some eye-catching work. He's not really taking any shots, so I don't think there's any way the judges can be scoring towards Abdoul. But just put him in his place, show him that he really fancies this job. Just burst into life once or twice. Don't pick for the full 3 minutes. Just let some punches go, some combinations now and again, then go back to the cagey.
Also, the Manchester public up here have heard of the reputation. How he thrills the crowds. Bit of razzle-dazzle. But just been well, quiet and thoughtful tonight from Haye as he pumps out another jab. Good defence from Abdoul, as always.
I think he really has to commit himself to the job a little bit more. That was better, good body shot. I mean, you can afford to take chances with this man. Don't want him to do anything silly. But I mean, if they both land simultaneously, the power is going to be with Haye. And there'll also be more power if he gets his body weight forward and meets him in the centre of the ring and tries to push him back. But Haye seems quite happy to be nudged onto the back foot so far.
He is the WBC #1 contender now, David Haye, to O'Neill Bell's world title, so it may be a cautious, safety-first approach to this. There can't be any slip-ups. But it's unlike Haye, this.
I mean, he is good enough to be outboxing. Now, that was a good solid jab right through the guard. He is good enough to be outboxing Abdoul. So really, he should be raising the pace a little bit, just committing himself a bit more.
Just out of range as he whipped up that uppercut, David Haye. Twos and threes are missing.
Yeah, but when you're facing a guy with this type of defence, I mean, a single punch, he'll thrive on that all night long. Have to put punches together, catch him maybe with the second or third.
Well, Jim, we knew Abdoul's tactics was to get through the first sort of third of the fight. But what's David Haye really done? I mean, he might be nicking these, but there's not been a lot.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Well, we're listening to the corner. I think they're quite happy. But I get the feeling listening to the corner that they're thinking the result is much more important than the performance. So stick to what you're doing. They're not upset. He can't afford to lose his title. Obviously, he's number one in the WBC. He could be boxing for the world title quite soon. It's a time in the career where there's a lot of strain. But really, you should be looking upon this as a confidence builder. He has much more talent than Abdoul has.
This the round that Haye came apart against Carl Thompson down in Wembley, September 2004. And this is the 272nd round of Ismail Abdoul's career. Hardened, old school of knocks, really. Got a current world champion up in the studio tonight who's travelled that sort of journey, and you know how to look after yourself.
Well, Haye's jab is still the main difference between the two of them. He's getting a little bit closer, stepping in with it, and a more solid look about the jabs now. That's much, much better, but where's the right hand? 1, 2, 3. This fellow is right in front of Haye all night long. Even if he's blocking the shots, put them out in bunches in the second or third or fourth of a flurry of punches might land.
That fast raking jab usually sets up the Haye attacks. You can punch with both hands. Just looks a little bit more interested now. Mind on the job. Concentration from Haye.
I mean, it's a good solid jab. He's throwing, he's setting himself well, he's not taking anything.
Oh, lovely uppercut. Best shot of the fight from David Haye.
That's all we're asking for. Don't fight for 3 minutes, just every now and again, burst into life. Show this guy who has the class, who has the quality, and that right uppercut did it in style.
Maybe it's just been a mixture of the fact he's tight at cruiserweight, it's hot in here, and he's obviously that WBC #1 challenger, so just wants to do everything slowly, it would seem, tonight. Pouring with the jab, right hand. That is a big, big defense with those stocky arms of Abdoul. Uppercut work though, Jim.
Oh, that was a beauty, but even if Haye would keep him a bit more occupied, maybe openings would come. 2-1 pace. Now, he picked that beautiful. That was a quality punch against a fighter who marches straight forward with his hands cupped in front of his ears there. That is the perfect punch. So maybe he's found it. Maybe we'll start seeing it on a regular basis. It was a beauty.
Downstairs, downstairs. He's looking to punch off it. He wants you to do that.
If anything, I'll try and come up the middle.
What you're doing is perfect. Don't be crazy with it. Do it once and go.
Okay.
How often do you see that? Fighter and trainer chatting, standing up in the corner. Is that all a bit casual?
Well, I remember a golfing term, paralysis through analysis, you know, putting too much thought into something and nothing is flowing. But I get the impression, listening to the corner, as I said earlier, the result is much more important than the performance, and as long as we get some drama, and I think eventually Abdoul is going to have to raise the pace, start going for it, then he will have to react. At the moment, he doesn't. He's boxing at the pace he wants to box at.
He has won 27, Ismail Abdoul, and he did challenge for this title before, in 2004, beaten by Vincenzo Cantatore in Rome on points. In fact, only one person has ever stopped him, Krzysztof Wlodacek, in 2002, and that was in the 12th round. So he would do well to repeat that.
I'm a bit surprised at Abdoul, because I would have been thinking by now he would be trying to get close and rough Haye up a little bit, make it more of a kind of a wrestling match, if you like. But he's allowing Haye to box at his own pace, at his own range, and he's had no success hardly. Now and again he's flicked a jab home, but that's about it. So Abdoul is the one who has to change here. He's losing.
Do you think Abdoul is feeling the physical strength difference between them? I mean, in January 2005, he made the 12-7 limit.
Well, I think this is what Abdoul does. I mean, we have seen him in the past. Remember, we saw the Macronelli fight. So, I mean, this is what he does. He just catches punches all night long, and hopefully he can tire the other fella out and be more effective into the second half of the fight. But he hasn't pressurised Haye. He hasn't really drawn any of the steam out of Haye. Haye is boxing at his own pace, and quite a slow, at least steady. He's trying the uppercut again. All he needs is to let some punches go, put them together, 3s and 4s, maybe 3 and 4 times every round. Because I think that the crowd could be doing with it too. It's just becoming a little bit predictable, a little bit repetitive.
Yeah, the occasional glimpse of what Haye can do, like that juicy uppercut in the 5th, the snapping jab.
I mean, I think Haye must be making a conscious effort to box like this, because it's not really in his personality. So he's obviously boxing to instructions, so I would imagine in the second half of the fight we maybe see a bit more adventure. But victory is so important. It's a crucial stage in his career. Can't afford any slip-ups, and there's a look of that about his boxing.
That's it. The win is all important. If he gets the stoppage, so be it, but also to pick up the rounds. They have thought that pre-fight, treating it a little bit like a glorified spar at the moment, David Haye. Will there be some more devil in his work? Wants to become the world cruiserweight champion, of course, and our WBO holder, Johnny Nelson. What do you think, Johnny?
I think David's got a heavyweight jab, but he just doesn't use it often enough. For David, this is a practice of not what he's got in front of him, what he has inside of him. Can he stay calm? Can he box his way through this fight? Can he pick punch Abdoul apart? At the moment, he's just cruising through the fight, but he's not doing enough to make an impression to sort of terrify Abdoul. He needs to dominate him and start bullying him about in this fight.
Yeah, cruising's the right word, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah. He's not taking advantage of his size, of his strength, of his weight, the weight advantage he's got. These guys both look a different weight, and David needs to take full advantage of that.
Jim, do you think he can do what Johnny's saying, use that weight advantage and the talent, obviously, that he's got?
Well, I think the fact that he's coming back to his corner at the end of every round and they're delighted and sending him out for more of the same. This is what they planned. They looked upon this as something that could be a tough night's work, and they're making sure he doesn't run out of steam. Is that a lack of confidence in his fitness, or are they paying Abdoul a bit more respect than he's due? Haye's work is improving a little bit. He's trying things out a bit more. He's tried the uppercut. He's using the left hooks here and there. But I I'd just like to see him commit himself to a couple of attacks, 3, 4, 5 attacks in each round, just to make it obvious who is the world #1 in here.
Yep, he's desperate for that fight with the WBC champion O'Neill Bell. IBF is vacant. O'Neill Bell holds the WBA Super Championship as well in the ordinary version. Apologies for the confusion, that's the way the belts are going nowadays. Is held by Virgil Hill, who's been around for years, so big opportunities out there for Haye.
We never saw exactly how simple the remedy is. Just left jab followed by the right hand, because Abdoul does not move, he catches the jab and the right hand can snake right through after it, finish on the left hook. Nothing wonderful is required here, just to put punches together and commit himself to the job a little bit more. But as I said a second ago, his corner delighted. This looks to be the pre-fight plan, so maybe we'll see another couple of rounds of this before the David Haye personality kicks in.
He's such a brash sort of character, really good talker, believes 100% in himself and his ability. Got him a silver in the world in the amateurs, and that's a great combination there. You can see when he fires that in, the ability he possesses.
And as I'm saying, that's how simple it is. It's doesn't have to be technical, doesn't have to be anything wonderful. Abdoul is right there in front of him. He doesn't even move away from the punches, he blocks them. So when the other guy is blocking punches, you can afford to let them go in punches. See, single punches can be countered. 3s and 4s, the other man has to cover up and stay covered up.
Just gripping hold of the canvas a touch more, Haye. Trying to back Abdoul up, boss him around a bit more. 3 judges at ringside for this European title fight. I mean, they must have Haye pretty handy lead. Abdul's not done anything.
Yeah, he's not taking anything. Now he is standing his ground. He's meeting Abdoul head on a bit more often, trying to push him back.
Not a lot from Ismail Abdoul as David Haye heads to this European Cruiserweight title winning hopes. There's Ray Hatton, Ricky's father. Interested spectator, but I think probably more interested about his son's future. We hear back in December, Jim.
Yeah, well, a lot of big irons in the fire. We were speaking to Ray earlier on. He wouldn't commit himself, everything a little bit secretive, but great time in Ricky's career. We're all enjoying it.
Well, still Haye, just a rather subdued look in that corner. You can see there how many punches have landed in the total 7 rounds so far. 41.
Yeah, but it's just been a little bit one-paced. Thankfully, Haye's work has improved a little bit in the last couple of rounds, but we'd like to see him raising the pace and keeping that pace going.
And Jim, that's exactly what he did in this very round in March at the York Hall in Bethnal Green, when he overcame a couple of bumpy moments to dispatch Lasse Johansson. Hasn't shown many signs of wanting to do that tonight, that up in gear.
No, but he hasn't really tried to discourage Abdoul at any time. He's quite happy to land a single punch, get himself out of there. Now and again, a couple of punches and then back out again. But he hasn't really tried to dominate. I know we're thinking, I mean, Abdoul is durable, he's tough, but he's not dangerous. So why is Haye not maybe just a little bit more adventurous? We've got a couple of noises behind us from the crowd that they would like a bit more action. We've responded to that. Punches missed and the crowd have responded to it. They just want a little bit more drama to be injected in here from Haye.
Yep, Abdoul has only got 10 knockouts in his 27 wins, so Haye knows the power lies in his fists.
that's a little bit better, more purpose in those punches. Landed the punches and stayed in there, didn't back off again.
That's got a beautiful jab when he uses it, David Haye. Did have Lennox Lewis dropping in to his Miami camp. And Haye now under the guidance of Frank Maloney, who took Lennox to the World Heavyweight title and would love to do the same with Haye. Difficult to assess how far he'll go on this sort of performance, Jim.
Yeah, well, we can see he's boxing well within himself and he's getting a result. But the corner are encouraging him to box cagily here. Just make sure he's winning the rounds and keeping the European belt. Then everything is on track. I mean, if he was facing that was much better. I mean, it's not difficult to catch this fella with punches. Okay, he's going to block some of them, but let some punches go.
Yeah, that was a crisp right hand. Uppercut in the fifth, that one. Few and far between. But there's the talent that many believe will see him one day become a world champion.
Now and again he shows the quality. That was that right uppercut again, beautifully delivered.
It's now the furthest David Haye has been in a professional ring, and that's important as well. There's the record. That one loss to Carl Thompson, 16 knockouts. Is he going to get one tonight? This will be new territory for him in the ninth. Or has he settled now to go 12 rounds for the first time?
No, I think his personality has to show itself sooner or later, and I think we might see it in the last third of the fight. Now, that was a good right hand. I mean, how simple was that? Jab, followed with a right, jab blocked, right hand, straight through the middle, and then if he just timed it slightly better, he could have finished off on the left hook. But that's all we're asking for. Double up, treble up his punches, not the single jams that he's been using almost exclusively all the way through.
Well, as David Haye comes out for the ninth, let's go straight to the corner and find out what Adam Booth says to Ed Robinson.
Well, Adam, are you happy with David's tactics?
At this moment in time, I couldn't be happier. We know that the guy was going to try and keep tight, march him down and try and press David into doing some work for the first half of the fight, which is why it was all about just picking, touching, picking, and just a couple of little shots and then pick him again, because otherwise David's going to punch himself out on his arm, so there's no need for that. And he's let the right shots go at the right time. Now we're expecting him to, he's got to try something, because he's not going to win the fight if he doesn't. So now David's got to take it up just that next level.
David's not too cautious.
He's boxing the fight, he's got to box against this fella. You can't fight everyone the same way. This guy's come with a strategy. He's a smart fighter, he knows what he's doing. If David just opened up, he may punch himself out unnecessarily, so why do that? I've said to him, I don't want you to stop him, I want you to use the power to control the rounds.
Thank you, Adam.
Well, he thinks it's a perfect sort of performance, but a couple of times in there, Jim, he mentioned punching himself out.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder, is that a problem they will never shake off psychologically? I mean, it's difficult. You have to remember his first 17 fights, he averaged about 2.5 rounds per fight. He's never really been, the only competitive fight he's been in as a pro is the one he lost. So he hasn't had to go to the well and come out victoriously. So you don't know if a fighter can do it until he's done it. So there are still a lot of questions to be asked about David Haye. Talent-wise, no problem. Power, we know. But can he dig in? Does he have the stamina? Is he strong enough at cruiserweight? Is the weight making a problem? Still lots of questions to be asked. And you like these questions to have been answered before you mix it for a world title.
To be fair to Haye, Abdoul has been very defensive. Some would say negative. And his corner have been sort of hardly bothered between rounds. I think they just want to see him go the distance and not get stopped again.
Yeah, well, I think they know he's not going to win this fight. And as I've been saying all the way through, David Haye's corner have been delighted at the end of every round. Couldn't be happier, it said to Ed a couple of seconds ago. So we can't really expect Haye to be changing. He's winning. He keeps his #1 spot, he keeps his European title, no disasters. So the big fights and the big money is still ahead, but we're not talking about that tonight. We're talking about this performance. It's controlled. He's winning it by a mile on my card, but we know he's capable of a little bit more.
Yep, it's systematic, but it is not sparkling in any way. A very subdued atmosphere here in Altrincham. And for once, David Haye has not excited us, and the boos are starting to come in.
Listen to me.
Yeah, well, the crowd have been restless for a few rounds now.
Let's have a look at the past holders of this prestigious title. Sammy Reeson, 87 to 88. Had a crack at the WBC champion Carlos de Leon as well. Anaclet Wamba from France, 89 to 90. Fine WBC champion. Johnny Nelson, 90 to 98, and current WBO cruiserweight champion. What seems like eternity. There's Carl Thompson, great veteran from these parts, who beat David Haye. Terry Dunstan blew away Alexander Gurov, as Haye did. And there's Gurov, who held it before David Haye obliterated him. That was something noticeable tonight. I'm afraid fans are starting to leave the Altrincham Sports Centre. They are turning away, having heard really big things about Haye, and that's got to be a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not... Failing to knock this fella out would not have been a disappointment. But fighting, it has to be entertainment. You're looking for a bit of drama. You're one of the biggest punchers in the game. You expect him to try to use his power. He hasn't done that. He's just picked away. Now they're beginning to stand by getting slow hand claps now.
Yeah, I bet David Haye has never heard slow hand claps at all in what's been a very watchable and entertaining career. There's a right hand, and finally there's a sarcastic cheer from the crowd. But I don't know, Jim. I think in his mind, he just wants to do a job tonight.
I mean, at the bottom line, Adam, he's facing a man who's not dangerous, tough, strong, durable, but not dangerous. What is the problem of picking up the pace, taking a few chances, just standing his ground, letting some punches go? See if he can dominate this fellow.
But he's listening to his trainer, who's saying it's a perfect night.
Well, that's been the attitude all the way through. I've said it a couple of times. The result is much more important than the performance, I think, as far as the camp are concerned. And I don't think he's going to shake from that. I thought his natural personality would start coming to the fore by now. We're in the 10th round. They must have plenty left in the tank. And to be honest, if it goes 12 rounds, we haven't really answered any questions, because it's been at his own pace for 12 rounds. He hasn't had to exert himself at any time.
Well, we've been lucky enough to have some crackling domestic title fights and European ones on our shores over this season. This not one for the memory banks just yet. Can Haye impose himself in the last couple and finish off what's been fairly dull to watch, to be honest?
Well, he will have the confidence of knowing that he can do a 12 rounder. That's one of the things you don't know until you've done it. So at least that question's been answered, but it's not been a strange, it's not really been a competitive fight. Abdoul hasn't asked a single question of David Haye tonight.
And Jim, O'Neill Bell is the type of fighter, as he showed against Jean-Marc Mormec, who's going to make Haye work so much. And to put him straight into a fight like that, well, I don't know after this one.
Yep, but it's a wonder, as I was saying earlier, it's nice if they've been in a couple of competitive fights and they've come out on top. That's still not the case with David Haye, but another round in the bank.
Well, how often have we seen this on Friday fight night over what's been a really, really good season? People walking out during the main event, and promoter Frank Maloney just looking down at us at ringside, shaking his head a bit as well. What are they going to say that the Haye camp after us?
Well, I think the big problem, when you come along to see David Haye, you're talking about a man, he's never heard the final bell in any of his fights. 16 knockout victories, 1 knockout defeat. So the one thing you're guaranteed is drama. And if you like, 2 things, excitement. And he hasn't produced either of those tonight. All night long it's been a result they've been looking for. They're getting that, but the fans don't like it much.
Do you remember the pre-fight piece that Ed Robinson did where Adam Booth says he likes to take gambles, take risks? Where's that been tonight?
Yep, well, I think they changed their mind about that before they got here, because it's been a happy corner all night long.
6 minutes left of a really static sort of European cruiserweight title affair. Let's not hide that. Red trunks of Ismail Abdoul, who's offered very little. Is there anything left to come from the 29-year-old from Belgium, as David Haye continues to dominate at range as he pleases?
I mean, probably Abdoul has been shaken a few times with the jab of Haye, because he has landed a few solid jabs. So who knows, if he did open up and sustained a few attacks, maybe he could discourage this fellow. We don't know.
Haye, who tells us he has a hard sparring out in Miami. Robert Daniels, one of the men in the gym, former world champion. And has he just treated this like a glorified spar?
I think it's a case of what we have. We hold, we have the European title, we have the #1 spot, and we're just not prepared to take any chances with either.
45 seconds it took him to win this title. 8 very interesting rounds to defend it first time out. And, well, you've seen 11, where I think we can remember 4 or 5 punches, like that uppercut in the 5th, and not a lot else.
I mean, I'm just thinking, an old-time referee like Harry Gibbs, for example, he'd probably go in between rounds and have a chat with both guys and say, come on, lads, people have paid good money here, give us a bit more than what you're giving us. Maybe it would have worked, maybe it wouldn't. Maybe Haye will try to finish on something of a high against a man who is naturally lighter than he is and not a big puncher.
Yep, Robin Dolpierre, the French referee, has really had absolutely nothing to do, hasn't split them up, has just let them plod on with it, really. 3 judges, Alexander Kalinkin from Russia, Manuel Palomo from Spain, and Pierluigi Poppi from Italy. I'm sure haven't got a lot of demands on their time round by round. Turn southpaw now, Haye. Not seen that before, Jim.
Well, it's not because there's posed problems that he has to solve out, because he's been having things pretty much his own way. Abdoul has accepted defeat several rounds ago. He's just making up the numbers now.
Well, it's a strange one, really, from challenger and champion. 12 rounds scheduled. You can see Abdoul, an expert at that. David Haye has planned to go 3 times, never has, mainly because of that power. But this is what he needs. The 12 rounds, that obviously was the tactic. Combined, Jim, I guess, with the weight making and the heat and the fact he doesn't want to jeopardise the position he's got himself into. All of those combined?
Yep, they're coming up with reasons, Adam, or excuses. What is it? It's just a pity at the halfway stage, he had everything his own way. He could have put a show on then.
85 punches have landed in 11 rounds of boxing. For a European title, that simply, Jim, is not good enough.
Not from an entertainment point of view, certainly not.
Final session. David Haye surely on course for win number 17 to take the W home. That'll be fascinating to hear what they really wanted from this fight afterwards. As for Ismail Abdoul, Well, at the moment, he's going back to Belgium with absolutely nothing. But I guess lasting the distance with another top-rated Briton. Did it with Enzo Maccarinelli. Went down 120, 108, and 119, 109 twice. It's got to be similar here, isn't it?
Yeah, points-wise, but I think Maccarinelli, at least he went looking for a stoppage. He put a lot more into the 12 rounds than David Haye has done. So he obviously has the confidence over the 12 rounds distance. Good job there from Haye. That's all we're asking. Put some punches together. Put this fellow under some pressure.
Such high expectations of this entertainer, David Haye, who the crowds like to see, and maybe that's why this has been a disappointment. He's never been in trouble. He's never been under fire. You know, he looks fresh as a daisy.
Yeah, well, he has the knowledge. He can do 12 rounds, but we still don't know, can he do 12 competitive rounds?
That's it, and up at world level for the fighter that wants to take on the WBA heavyweight champion, the beast from the east, Nikolai Valuev. 7'2", 23 stone. Haye says it will be David against Goliath. That may be a way off, Jim.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, the problem is now that the size of the heavyweights. At one time, the heavyweight division was within hitting distance of the light heavyweights and the cruiserweights, but now they are massive.
45 seconds left before the final bell will toll. Thankfully, really, it's not been good.
See, he's been picking his punches all night long as opposed to threatening and pressurising Abdoul, forcing him to open up a little bit. It's just been too one-paced from start to finish.
Casual, laid back, standing in between rounds, just heeding that advice of Adam Booth. Maybe they'll be very, very happy with David Haye, but there are fans here tonight that haven't been. And I'm sure those of you watching at home as well. Well, he's gone 12 rounds for the first time. Surely a landslide, but boos ring out here in Altrincham, and it's a very subdued end to what's been, Jim, a boring fight.
Yep, completely devoid of drama, entertainment, excitement. I think David Haye and his camp came tonight to do a job. The job has been done. What they brought tonight they take home again, so his career is still well on track, but not a great performance.
A couple of eyebrows raised from Frank Maloney as the rounds ticked along. What will he be making of this?
No, well, Frank's been sitting beside us all night long, so he's been hearing what we've been saying, and he didn't go up to try and change the corner. I think he's of the same opinion. It's a business. I know it's an entertainment business, but it's a business. They can't afford a slip up, so they made sure no slips were made.
Very poor success rate, but let's get the decision. David Haye surely has held on to his European title.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to our judges' scorecards, where we have a unanimous decision. Ladies and gentlemen, all three judges have scored the contest 120 to 108 points in favour of the winner and still Cruiserweight Champion of Europe, David Haymaker Haye. And your appreciations, please, for Ismail Abdoul. I'll now ask Mr. Peter Stuckey, the chairman of the European Boxing Union, to present the championship belt to the Cruiserweight Champion of Europe, David Haye.
What is undeniable, it is not the stuff that has made Manchester the fight capital of Britain. But I'm glad to say that on the undercard, the kind of stuff we have expected when we come to this part of the world. And one of their own in action here, Jamie Moore up against Mike Algout. And also, before we close on Friday Fight Night, look out for young Chris Pacey in against Peter Allen. All that's still to come. Well, it's perfect, and I'll tell you why, Johnny, because if they wanted to lull O'Neill Bell into a false sense of security, job done.
David is not done himself any favours there at all. He may have learnt a big lesson, but in reality, he sort of contradicted himself on a couple of occasions where he said, I want to create excitement and take chances, and Jim got it so right. He may have wanted to push himself and get the rounds in, but in reality it wasn't competitive 12 rounds.
He looks like he's had a spar, doesn't he, now?
That's right. There was no urgency about the corner. It's hard to get out of that mode, and once he got stuck into it, his corner should have slapped him and said, come on David, you've shown you can do it now, get stuck in.
All right, I'm going to come back to you in the hunt for a little bit of balance in just a few minutes, because it is a win for him and he is the European champion, but let's get his take on it now with Ed.
Well, David, why so cautious tonight?
It wasn't that I was cautious, it was that I was just working on different aspects of my game. Everyone knows I can come out and throw big bombs. I knew Abdoul was tough, so I thought, okay. I limited myself to 3 right hands per round. I said I'm not going to throw any more than 3 right hands per round. And I thought I was pretty much stuck to that. I just wanted to win this fight just with my jab. I wanted to go 12 rounds. I've got a big fight coming up for the WBC. O'Neill Bell, the undisputed champion. It's nice to have 12 rounds. Obviously, it wasn't 12 gritty rounds, but it was 12 rounds nonetheless. And that's 12 rounds in the bank, and I'm really happy with it. I didn't get caught with any silly shots. I was blocking, parrying most of the shots, and just working on my jab. Me and Frank were talking before about the jab's the key. Lennox Lewis against David 2, I watched that fight over and over again. And when it came in there, I felt like Lennox Lewis, and I just kept hitting. I must have hit him with 100 jabs around. And it just felt perfect in there. I was really happy with my performance.
You don't think you owe something to the fans who've paid to watch that? A little bit of a boring fight?
That's a different side of me. I'd probably be one of the only 12 rounders I'll ever have. So at least they can say they were there when I went the distance.
Are you still as strong at cruiserweight?
It's getting harder. It's definitely getting harder. Obviously, I've got to really kill myself to get down to the weight, and it's draining. So the sooner I get this undisputed title, the sooner I can fight at my natural weight, which is about 16.5 stone. I feel a lot. If I was weighing that, I'd feel so much more. I'd feel a lot more sharper. I'm a lot sharper in training than I am actually in the fight, because I've got obviously boiled down to 200 £. But it's just one of those things. I'm just really looking forward to getting this big undisputed champion O'Neill Bell in the ring, and that won't go 12 rounds. Trust me.
Frank, as the promoter tonight, a little bit disappointed by David's performance?
Everyone likes to see David stop someone because, as you say, he's Mr. Excitable. But, you know, you've got to allow for the heat tonight. He took the fight. He knew the guy was very durable. And they wanted to get the rounds in. And I think, you know, if you're looking for a boxing lesson, that was a good boxing lesson he gave, but there was no excitement in there. And obviously the crowd, the way we build David up, wanted excitement. And tonight he decided, with the heat in there, he wasn't going to take them risks. He was going to work behind the jab and get them 12 rounds in.
How close are you to making a fight with O'Neill Bell, the WBC champion?
Well, we'll start work on it on Monday. The politics of boxing, who knows? We're number 1. We should be there now. And we will start firing off the letters and the phone calls on Monday morning.
Thank you very much. Well done.